Welcome. What is up? Welcome to the Mixer. I'm your host, RC. I'm joined by our lovely co-host here, Jeff. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Uh, you know, a week off of Formula One, getting ready for this Australian GP now, and baseball starting. So it's a pretty good week.
Yeah, it is. First things first. We are the Mixer, as I already said. We cover Formula One primarily this time of year. Also NFL. We'll sprinkle it in and give you more info on that once the season gets more into action, once the draft rolls around, all that good stuff. We are on YouTube. It's the Mixer channel. Most pod feeds. It's the Mixer podcast. Pretty easy to find. And we are on socials at FC Wine Mixer. I just got one tilt to get out real fast. My daughter turns 3 next week. Happy birthday, Aria. And I want her to stop growing. And I don't know, there was like a change the last 6 weeks or so. I've been like,
Oh yeah,
like, come on, grow up. Like, let's talk. We get to play, run around, soccer, all that good shit. And now I'm like, you're perfect. No more growing. And stay like this for the rest of your life. And I'll be good. So, anyway, excited, terrified, all that. But yeah, happy birthday to the little one.
there you go. Happy early birthday.
You got any tilts to get off your chest?
No tilts, but I might be selling my car today.
Oh,
Um,
nice, Mazel Tov.
yeah.
I might
So
be putting a
apparently,
down payment on a new the Gazoo Racing Corolla that was just announced. I might put a
okay.
deposit down for that.
There you go. Yeah, I the place where we got Sam's Forester last year texted me yesterday that they're looking for used cars.
Oh
Um,
shit,
apparently, used cars are just like on fire these days.
it's inflation.
It's whatever. And I remember, like, I've been looking to sell this thing for a little while, but like, just haven't pulled the trigger. And like, CarMax offered me like 5 grand for it a couple months ago or something like that. And I was talking to the person from the Subaru dealership, and they were like, "Yeah, just go on Kelly Blue Book and put in the information, and we're generally around what they quote you or a little bit higher, because I forget what they said they use, but they use like some other type of like valuing system, but they kind of just go off Kelly Blue Book for people to have like an initial idea.
Yeah.
So I did, and it was like $8,600. So I was
Hmm.
like, might be time to sell this thing.
There you go. Well, good luck with that. Um, let's get to it. Speaking of cars, we had big news over the last week. Formula One announced that they will be going to Las Vegas for adding yet another US stop on the calendar. And it's going to be during Thanksgiving weekend. Sounds like race day is going to be Saturday night. So, really looking forward to that. I mean, it's on the West Coast. It's the first West Coast Formula One hosted event since they were racing in the Las Vegas parking lot. I think they actually raced, like, there was a street circuit in Arizona or something randomly in the late 80s, maybe the early 90s. That might be the last time. But I mean, the furthest west they've been is at Coda, which, I mean, depending on where you're at in the country, is definitely, it definitely doesn't feel like the West when we have,
Right.
when I fly all the way over there. I've been to that track twice. It's fucking amazing. You're going later this year, but I mean, how are you excited about this, or how much are you excited about this news that Formula One is going to the Las Vegas Strip?
I mean, I'm really excited. It's funny being on like Formula One Twitter and Reddit, and how people from other countries are upset that the U.S. is getting a third Grand Prix now. But as an American, I think it's awesome because it's harder to get into something when it's hard to watch it, right? And not that Formula One is necessarily hard to watch, like all the races are on ESPN2 or whatever, but you know, depending on where you're at in the world for some of these races, like the first two of the year have been awesome because they're like, for me, like 10, 11 a.m., something like that, like 9 a.m., Bahrain and Saudi Arabia. But Australia, we're going to watch it Saturday night, I think it is. Because it'll be like 11 o'clock at night for us, I think, when it actually happens. Um, and I know there's other races throughout the year that'll be at like 3 a.m., 4 a.m., stuff like that. So it's nice to have races that are in a normal time slot for us, if that makes sense. Um, Also, the United States is huge, and I just don't think a lot of people realize how big it is, and that like Miami and Las Vegas are probably further apart than most of Europe. Um, so it is like three races in one country, but it's a fairly large country. Um, and it probably justifies that if they're trying to get more fans in general anyway. So I'm happy with it. I'm just hoping that it's a fun track. I've seen kind of like preliminary like layouts and like preliminary runs on it. People are doing like simulation runs on what the track is supposed to be, and it looks interesting. But until we see it actually in use, we don't really have an idea of what the racing's going to be like.
Right. I mean, it's on the freaking strip, so the visuals is going to be awesome. Hopefully, uh, hopefully the broadcast does does it justice. I mean, I wrote an article about 4 or 5 years ago about the next U.S. Grand Prix and where it might be. And Las Vegas in that article was my prediction. There's been a lot of talk about doing a race on the strip over the last decade, and I mean, at one point it sounded like they had it done. They had a track design, but whatever reason that fell through. Then Miami was announced, and kind of thought, well, that might be it for Vegas for a while. But then, I mean, they added this on. So Liberty Media has said that their aim once they purchased Formula One was to make every race weekend feel like a Super Bowl. And that's something they've really made good on. It doesn't hurt that the racing's been really good, but they were really at the forefront of making the changes to the regulations to produce good racing. They before Liberty Media acquired Formula One, it was the constructors that kind of held the keys to the series. And you had like Ferrari and more recently Mercedes kind of throwing their weight around and influencing the regulations. And obviously they're investing a lot of money, so if they're putting a lot of money in their car, they want to be at the front of the grid. They don't want a regulation that where they might be vulnerable. And now it seems like they found a good balance. We have the big heavy hitters up front: Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari. But these other teams like Haas, Alpine can't compete, and that's bringing in new fans. Which I mean, every race right now is setting record numbers as far as viewership in the U.S. And we're gonna have two new manufacturers, two manufacturers from the Volkswagen Group, Porsche and Audi, maybe supplying their own engines, maybe having their own factory teams. It sounds like Porsche is going to partner with Red Bull, and maybe Audi with McLaren or vice versa. I can't remember, but it's going to be really interesting to see what they do, and if anybody else comes in. The next step is we need to get an American car manufacturer in Formula One. Andretti's talking about coming in. They have a partnership with Honda in Indy. So I don't know if there's an opportunity for another U.S. manufacturer to jump in, but I mean, it's just really exciting the way the sport has grown. And Jeff, I mean, you're coming in at the perfect time. So what are our Vegas plans, man? Like, how hype are you on the race? Like, I know you got family there, so whose house am I crashing at?
Well, I'm excited about the race. We could probably crash with my dad. Um, but yeah, it's just, it'll be interesting to see what they charge for that race.
I don't
You
care.
know,
Big borrower steal. I'm getting fucking in there.
I'm just saying this as someone who is going to my first race later this year, and it was about 5 grand with everything. That's
Yeah, that's
hotel.
flight, hotel, but
Yeah,
but West Coast, so we drive. Hopefully, gas isn't $10 a gallon by then, which it might be. And yeah, we got the other two expenses out there. We just get whatever the cheapest 3-day weekend pass is, and
yeah,
and get in there. But
yeah.
dude, actually, this is my goal. It's probably going to be hard for us, but bro, we can get credentialed if we
Oh,
like if we friggin' grind our dicks off and put out there. I mean, I don't know how to apply. I applied for Long Beach last year, and
yeah.
they said no because it was a COVID year. But anyway, like it's not out of it's a non-zero chance that we could get credentialed.
Let's try.
You know anybody at Tao? Or I mean, I don't even know if Tao is still a nightclub there. They change the fucking nightclubs like every other year. Um,
Well, you got to keep them fresh for everyone.
yeah, and like the nightclub things. My nightclub days are past me. It wasn't a long run, but it was a good run. And so yeah, I mean, if anybody knows anybody in Vegas, like, I don't know, let us know, because I'm gonna figure out. It's gonna be so sick, dude. There's so many like little spots there where there's gonna be all kinds of events at the casinos and watch parties. I mean, it's gonna be wild.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
my
uh,
only concern is depending on how they do the track. I just hope it's not like an American Monaco, because I kind of like have that feeling, like it's
um,
gonna be a big party and a big show, but like just make the track raceable is all I care about.
so the strip is wide as hell. I think it's
Right.
like five lanes wide on each side. Um, it's then they're gonna have to repave it because I mean, the last few times I've been there, it's shit, man. It's really bad. So that's gonna be interesting. I don't know if they're gonna block out. Well, I mean, they're gonna have to block off the strip, and I don't know if they're gonna do grandstands on one part of the one side of the street, and then the track on the other side of the street. It's going to be really interesting to see how they pull it out, but there's enough space. There's a lot of sidewalk space there too down the strip, so they can build the grandstands on top of the sidewalks. So, I mean, I'm sure they've figured it all out, and Formula One has. I mean, they've gone and done a ton of street tracks recently, and they just have their best and brightest figuring out how to stage these events. Vegas, if any other city had the capacity to pull this off, it's Vegas. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just beyond elated. I just I can't wait either way, but it's probably going to be my first Formula One race. Yeah, yeah. I'm just this feels like the culmination of grinding, watching friggin' the Hungarian Grand Prix free practice sessions, by myself as a friggin' 15-year-old that nobody cares about. I'm just like, well, the cars are
Well,
fucking cool. The cars are
I mean,
fucking cool. The
I
drivers are
do that
fucking
now.
cool. Yeah, exactly. Nobody else is watching it with me, but there's something here. There's something here. It's awesome. Hopefully one day it blows up, and I think we're there. We're about to get freaking hyper adoption of Formula One. Um, moving on to what's ahead in the current season. The circus is going to travel to Melbourne, Albert Park for the Australian Grand Prix. Due to the time zone differences, it's going to be a late night for U.S. fans, and with most of the main practice sessions and qualifying in the race times, I believe starting at 10 Pacific. So you'll get some of the practice sessions a little sooner, like free practice 1 and free practice 3 before qualifying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I personally I love these late night races because yeah, I mean my late night days are over, but when Formula One's on, I'll stay up, and it is nice to not have to wake up at the butt crack of dawn with the whole day ahead of you. It's
Right.
nice to sit down into the day, like, all right, let's see some drama here.
Yeah.
Um, the track has been redesigned, repaved, and it should be better racing. There are 4 DRS zones, which has been the talk of the socials.
Only two
Um,
detection zones.
so I mean, what do you think about that, Jeff? Do you have a strong opinion? Is it too much? What do you think?
I mean, we'll see. I think that one thing a lot of these tracks would benefit from is more places to overtake. And I know that that's one of the things that Australia tried to do with some of their track changes. Like I know they took out a chicane so that it was a smoother turn. Um, and the idea is to, I think, essentially give guys more opportunities. Because, like, as we've seen in the first couple races, there's definitely more ability to overtake. Guys are able to follow closer. They're able to, you know, kind of take more chances, but in making moves stick, like as we saw in race one, like if you could get it into turn four after that DRS zone, like you had it, like the other person wasn't coming back at you until the next lap, right? And similar in Jeddah, if you could get um, turn one and be ahead, you were safe until the end of the lap, kind of thing. There's really nothing in between there that was happening a whole lot. So I do think that, adding more DRS zones, maybe there's more chances to overtake. Maybe it makes defending harder. Maybe it makes it easier. Who knows? But I do like the idea. Although 4 DRS zones with only 2 detection points seems a little harsh. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. I know there's been a lot of talk about DRS really since Jeddah, and that it's probably still necessary, but maybe they need to shorten it or something like that, because it does seem quite overpowered in a lot of situations. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. I like that they're doing something different. I mean, I'm a fan of just changing rules of sports on the go all the time. Like change something every year, make people adjust all the time. I think it makes it more fun, and you get more ingenuity. I think in general, and I think we'll see that this week. You'll see maybe guys going for passes in places that they didn't used to because now they have the ability to type thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's an easy. I think it's an easy case for people to have that reactionary take that 4 DRSs, the cars are fine, like it's too much. But like you said, change it up, test it out, see if it works. If it doesn't, if it's ridiculous and it's just like a clown a clown race, then for the next year they dial it down, they figure it out. But I mean, these guys have the most advanced computer systems and simulations, I'm sure, to work through this shit. So if they have 4 there, it's because that's what the numbers showed them. And the Australian Grand Prix, or this track specific, Albert Park, there has been one pass for the lead in 30 years, and that was Michael Schumacher passing the Montoya in 2002. Um, it's still pretty exciting that there's usually like some different pit strategies teams do, and in the past, both I've seen both the overcut strategy and the undercut strategy work with these new regulations. I mean, that still remains to be seen. The most significant changes to the track were turns 9 and 10, where there was like you said, there was a chicane. Now it's more of a bend. And then they've made the run into turn, what is that, 13? 13 a little bit bigger. They widened it. So hopefully there's going to be more passing. Oh, and it looks like uh, turn 6 was a chicane, and now that is more of a gentle bend. So, I mean, really from turn 5 to turn 11 is kind of just this meandering run. There's going to be some heavy G loads because, yeah, it looks like it's going to be high speed, and then there's a chicane at 11 and 12 that was high speed. Used to just be able to like lift in games. So it's gonna be crazy because you're gonna have guys from turn 5 getting on the guy in front of them and then following them all the way into the fast like 11 and 12. So I mean, we might see some wild stuff there. Um, I mean, do you have any impressions on the track in general?
I do enjoy the track on F1 2022, but that's doesn't have the new changes on it. It'll be interesting, but I mean, my biggest issues with the track were that there was, playing it and trying to play it fairly competitively. There was not a lot of places to actually like pass, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
it's pretty narrow.
Now it seems like, looking at it, there might be a few more places because one of the bigger issues in trying to pass is you just need enough room, really, like enough distance a lot of times. And when you're making some of those tighter turns, like in chicanes and stuff like that, it's kind of hard to go up the inside and late break or whatever because you're having to get so slow that you're just giving the other person an advantage out of it, right? We saw that in Bahrain with Max and Charles. And so I think, maybe smoothing those out, taking those away, now guys might be a little more willing to go up the inside. But I also read that they basically made the whole backside of the track, basically from like, I think it was turn 6, as you said, to like turn 11 or whatever,
Yeah, 5 to 11.
is going to be pretty much flat out or close to
Yeah,
it.
that's gonna be
Um,
wild.
yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I like tracks that are a mix of top speed, but also like cornering speed. This looks like it might have a decent mix of that. And yeah, I'm excited for it. Something new. It'll be the first time Lewis isn't on pole in the turbo hybrid era. So, I mean, I feel pretty comfortable saying that, even though they're bringing an upgrade. But
Right. Yeah, I was gonna say this. I mean, this is has been a historically really good track for Lewis. It's been a sneaky good track for Ferrari as well. I went back and rewatched the last two Grand Prix there. It's been a while. I think it was 2019 and 2018. Maybe even watched the third, 2017. But what really stood out to me was the actual track surface. It it was really poor. I mean, it's like general use roads that they use. It's not. It's at an actual like park, like a recreational park. So it's not. it's not a traditional street circuit, but yeah, I mean, it was just choppy and the asphalt wasn't high quality, you could tell. So, that's going to be another element that really changes how this race is run. Um, let's just take a look at some of the betting odds real quick. So, Verstappen is I would say a significant favorite on bookmaker at minus 115. Leclerc is plus 195. Lewis is plus 900. So I mean, the books have Red Bull as a favorite. How do you see it, Jeff? Do you see it any differently, or what are your
Um,
thoughts about how this race is going to play out?
yeah, I would definitely make Red Bull as the favorite right now because I see them and Ferrari fairly similarly. I mean, they would. There's a decent sized point gap at the moment, but that's only because Red Bull didn't finish the first race. I think on in terms of quality, they're pretty even. And it sounds like, from what I've seen, Red Bull's bringing an upgrade this week, and Ferrari is not. So I would not be surprised if the upgrade works if Red Bull wins. Although I would probably rank in terms of like winning chances. I'd put Max first, Charles second, Sainz third, and Perez fourth. Um, but yeah, that's kind of how I view it. Red Bull seems to have kind of figured things out fairly well.
The thing that concerned, or if I were a Red Bull fan, which I'm not, I would. Well, I'm a Sergio Perez fan, but the thing that would concern me is this track is traditionally heavy on brakes, and they've had some issues with components overheating in general. So, I mean, we got the we got the new variable with the new track layout, but I could see Red Bull having its gremlins pop up again. I mean, I predicted that for Jeddah, and that didn't happen. The other thing is it's a narrow track, it's grass runoff or gravel. It's not, it doesn't have the asphalt runoffs like the majority of the new tracks do. There could be some Verstappen shitheadery. Um, so that could be a thing. So for those two reasons, I'm not going to be betting on Red Bull to win just because I feel like there's a higher probability than in other races that something might go against them. I mean, that might just be wishful thinking on my part, admittedly, but I do think that those factors have a higher probability of coming into play than at other tracks. Looking at DraftKings pricing, they also have Verstappen with the highest salary, followed by Leclerc and Sainz. Uh, then uh, then it's Lewis Hamilton before Sergio Perez, George Russell. We have the cheapest options with freaking Latifi, Stroll, Albon, Vettel. Have you looked at? Oh, you don't have DraftKings, but Vettel, of course, is going to be back for his first race of the year after being able to pass COVID protocols, which I'm kind of sus on, if I'm honest, because he's been very outspoken about kind of human rights, um, issues, and with the first races being at tracks where there's questionable human rights issues or infractions going on. You know. Anyway,
Yeah.
but that's just my tinfoil hat. But Vettel is fourth from the bottom with his salary behind the likes of Yuki Tsunoda, rookie Joe
Guan Yu.
Guan Yu Joe, or however what we're calling him. I mean, he's behind Mick Schumacher, who crashes out, the trash McLarens. Um, So yeah, I mean that's that would be my play. Probably having Vettel in every lineup. Um, that's not going to be unique, but yeah, I mean he's done really well at this track too. So yeah, fade him at your own risk. I mean he got a win in a trash Ferrari years ago during the Lewis Hamilton era. So I mean, which we're currently in, but yeah, I would not fade him.
Yeah, I
Um,
think for me, I did that Excel sheet, and one of the things that I found was that um, things that are really important. And I'm sure if anyone looks at the rules and like actually cares about how they do, sees the same thing. But beating your teammate and finishing the race are hugely important to scores. Um,
mhm.
that's probably why Hamilton is ahead of Perez in terms of price, because they assume he'll finish the race and they assume he'll beat George, right? Because if you're not leading laps and you're not going to get fastest lap, a lot of that other stuff doesn't really, you're not going to get those bonuses, right? So, um, and if you're not going to get pole, I think do you get anything for pole? I don't remember if you do or not. Um,
Um, I don't believe so.
but yeah,
No,
if you,
because the lineups don't lock until Sunday.
right. But yeah, if you're going to get, you have someone that's going to get fastest or beat their teammate, that's just 5 points for free right there, right? That's why like Valtteri will probably be a fairly popular pick almost all year because he's going against a rookie.
Hmm. Bottas has done well on this track as well. He has a win in the last few years. So yeah, that's a solid bet. But yeah, I'm gonna have in Lewis. I mean, regardless of where he starts, I'm probably gonna have a lineup with him as captain because there's just a lot of variables with this, and we can see him kind of steal a win. And yeah, I feel like the field may not be on him as much as they should. However, I'm sure they're aware that he's done really well at this track too, so it might balance out. But I'm going to be at least in line with a field on Hamilton's ownership and maybe even a little heavier. I'm going to have Vettel in probably pretty much every lineup. Um, and and yeah, I mean, I think the play is to just whoever's on pole slot him into your captain as well, because although it's a new layout and there's 4 DRS detection zones, they're just traditionally not too many passes, and usually the pole sitter does really well. And if that's Verstappen, I have no hesitation going with him. If it's Charles, I have no hesitation going with him. So kind of simple analysis, but that's where I'm at on that. You still good, Jeff, or you got to skedaddle?
I gotta go, I think.
Okay. Before you dip,
Yeah.
any last things on your mind?
Um, I think it's a big week for Mercedes. Um, it's the first upgrade that they'll have coming this year, really. They're redoing the back wing. I don't believe they're doing the floor. I know I've seen it reported in multiple places that they were going to get a floor, but the only reputable source I've seen uh, talk about it says they're just redesigning the back wing, basically, and that the floor isn't coming until Imola. So
Hmm.
I also, from what I've read, I think that the floor will help, but they also need a suspension upgrade. That seems to be where Red Bull is winning. They have some sort of suspension that they've gotten to work that is FIA approved, that allows them to run the car basically on the ground. Um, and yeah, it'll be an interesting week. I hope Red Bull doesn't take a step above Ferrari. With whatever upgrade they're bringing, I hope they're still competitive, which I assume they will be. But yeah, I mean that's really where I'm at.
Sweet. Well, thanks, Jeff. I'm gonna get some last thoughts in here, but if you want
All
to
right.
drop, um,
See ya.
yeah, as always, thanks for joining in.
Thank you.
All right, just to share some final thoughts on the week ahead for Formula One. Um, yeah, I'm super excited for the race. Obviously, kind of went over my DraftKings plays and the dynamics of the race. Jeff touching on the upgrades that Red Bull has. You never know if if that's actually gonna translate on track. Because while Ferrari may not be their closest or Red Bull's closest competitors, while Ferrari may not be bringing significant upgrades, they're still understanding their car better, and they have another race weekends where the data, they're not just sitting on their hands. They're learning how to maximize their car, and sometimes just not having a new variable like some new upgrade and figuring out how that changes the balance of the rest of the car, maybe an advantage on its own. I feel like, I mean, the books and such are overweighting Verstappen, so I feel like there's an advantage for Ferrari there, which I think if we were to have to guess what car is the better, been the better of the two in these first two races, say it was I would say it was Ferrari. So those are my thoughts. Obviously, we'll have to see how it all plays out. Um, I still have the fuel issue going on in my head, so I'm saying there's an implied advantage for Ferrari there. But yeah, super excited. The other thing, I can't remember if I mentioned it last week, but Tyreek Hill going to the Dolphins was the most recent notable NFL news. Yeah, I mean, Tua got another weapon. I did mention this because I mentioned my friggin' tinfoil hat theory that Tom Brady might be going to Miami. So I'll touch on that with Jeff next week. But yeah, if you have any questions about Formula One, hit me up. Love to talk about DraftKings strategy and such. And so yeah, it's at FC Mixer on Twitter. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this week. Let's get this pumpernickel later.